I'm going to start this video off by showing a couple of little tiny clips, signs, warnings from a good-sized pond down the road here a piece. The first one I've shown before on here, so, okay, here it is. Okay, to me, there are two key words there, danger and alligators. But people being what they are and who they are, there's evidently been a need for this second sign to go up. Let me show you this. I know. Can you believe it? Hope you're laughing. But you know, it's the same thing that we see in the Bible over and over. And we see in the world today over and over. How many signs and instructions do people need? Yet the many ignore them and go swimming with the gators. And now in these end times, there are those out there. You've got to be careful, because there are those out there covering up the signs, trying to cover them up, telling you, you don't need to read this. You don't need this. You don't need that. And it's our choice. It's your choice who you choose to follow and listen to. And it's very important, because this leads to a life and death situation. And right from the beginning, we are born into and we are living in the matrix, a world of lies, of sin. It's everywhere we look and what we hear. We are born into bondage, a world of lies and deception, from the government to the mainstream church to the Illuminati. But there is an awakening going on, the gathering, and we have taken the red pill, so to speak, and we know, we see the truth, the signs, the instructions, and we are looking to the new covenant. Do you realize that Deuteronomy 30, Jeremiah 31, and Romans 10, 9 and 10 are entwined or intertwined, whatever the word is? Let me explain. The good news was first preached, announced in the Torah, in Deuteronomy 30. In particular, verses 10 through 14. And verse 11 tells us, "For this command which I am commanding you today is not too hard for you, nor far off." And verse 14 is what Paul was saying, the exact same thing, in Romans 10, 9 and 10. Okay, Deuteronomy 30, verse 14. "For the word is very near you, in your mouth and in your heart, to do it." Both, and, has to be both. Paul said in Romans 10, 9 and 10, that if you confess with your mouth Jesus is Messiah, and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. For with the heart one believes unto righteousness, and one confesses with the mouth, and so is saved. The message that was revealed by Moses on Mount Sinai is the same given by Paul. Moses was speaking of the covenant made between God and the Israelites, a marriage. Paul is telling the Gentiles, the house of Israel, how we can be a part of the new covenant, the bride. Deuteronomy 30 was a marriage covenant that was broken by the house of Israel. And God granted them a certificate of divorce. And they were scattered. Okay, now the house of Israel, the divorced, they're scattered. They went out and they continue to this day to sin and be with other husbands and other gods. So the question was, for a long time, always, so how can they be remarried to Yahweh? What about all the Gentiles, all the sinners? For all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. So we have a problem, but not a problem for God. And God solved this problem through his Son, Jesus. Hebrew name Yeshua. Yeshua said, "I am the way, the truth, and the life, and no one comes to the Father but through me." The mystery of the gospel that Paul preached, the mystery, Paul got it. is that Jesus, Yeshua, provides the way for Gentiles, sinners, to become heirs, grafted in to the new covenant. It's all in Jeremiah 31. I shall put my law in their minds and write it on their hearts, and I will be their God, and they shall be my people. Christianity, for the most part today, fails to see that both the Old Covenant and the New Covenant are based on the same central themes: obedience to God's laws. Yes, salvation is through God's grace, but we have to have faith and believe in our mouth and in our heart. If we have it written on our hearts, the evidence will be seen outwardly. Doing the word. It is not too hard for you. We are not saved by works. We are not. But faith cannot exist without works. James 2, verse 17. Thus also, faith by itself, if it does not have works, is dead. Again, the sower and the seed. And Yeshua, over and over, told us about doing works throughout his ministry, and he told us the consequences if we don't. It's in Matthew 25, 37 through 45. Please read it if you don't believe me. And he said over and over, take up your cross and follow me daily. And he told about the Good Samaritan, doing. We will know them by their fruit. Doing the word, obeying God's commands. Loving. You know, God's commands are summed up in that one word, love. How do we show our love for God and to God? By doing his commands. Okay, this is another very important warning sign that's been troubling me lately, and it's both in the Old Testament again and the New, and it's very important. Yahweh told the Israelites, do not be unequally yoked. He didn't use those words, but that's what he was telling them. Not just physical, but spiritual, to keep yourself apart. Paul was once again, he warns us, the few, he's telling us, the few, the saints, not to be unequally yoked. And he wasn't just speaking of marriage, as so many want to tell you what it's about. Paul was saying the exact same thing as Yahweh said in the Torah. Again, the Old and the New. Do not be unequally yoked. Now, a good example of this today is this new Pope. And to me, it's the most dangerous Pope because it's a perfect example of a wolf in sheep's clothing. And the propaganda started right away. And so many, including Christians, are falling for it, becoming unequally yoked. And it's very subtle, and most of them don't even see this. But the way they're becoming unequally yoked is they're saying, I like this guy. He's a nice guy. He's doing good things. He's a good Pope. Do you see what's going on? You're missing it. Many shall come in my name, saying, I am the Messiah, and they shall lead many astray. We are seeing the many being unequally yoked, following man, doctrines of men, following and worshiping other gods. And this is so prevalent, so evident today in this time of year. The saints can't be yoked with the many. And look to the new covenant. This is a very dangerous time. I'm going to read 2 Timothy 4, 2-4. Proclaim the word. Be urgent in season, out of season. Reprove, warn, appeal with all patience and teaching. For there shall be a time when they shall not bear sound teaching, but according to their own desires they shall heap up for themselves teachers, tickling the ear. And they shall indeed turn their ears away from the truth and be turned aside to myths. Again, remember this. Here is the perseverance of the saints who keep the commandments of God and their faith in Yeshua. We are looking to the new covenant. It is in our mouth and is written on our hearts. Agape.